Okay, I think we're live. Okay, welcome everyone to a new episode of Breaking Bread. We've got guests with us today of Paul and my good friend. Mr. Clinton, why don't you introduce yourself?
We'll just keep it as El Presidente. I think that works for the crowd for right now. With my darling voice, it should be wonderful.
We've got lovely, fantastic. Yeah, that's not actually Mr. Clinton, but obviously sounds an awful lot like him. So yeah, El Presidente. Welcome. Welcome everyone. We are going to be talking about one of my favourite pet peeves for today, which is my favourite Chinese company, Huawei, who have been in the news quite a bit of late. It's been a funny old week for them. They've essentially been declared persona non grata by the United States officially, and are now looks like Trump has declared a national emergency, which would set up a huge blow to Huawei by basically banning them from trading in America. So that's obviously fairly big news as far as tech news for the day. So we're going to be having a bit of a chat about them, what they are doing about that, and what that means, and and then we'll take it from there. There's been some other things cropping up in the world, but I think this is actually going to be the main bulk of the conversation. And there's some other bits and bobs because the UK police have been going slightly berserk over a couple of things of late, which is worthy of a few chats, and we may even have a few other people dropping in for a chat with us later on. We shall see. But so kicking off, yes, essentially, as it says here, this is from Business Insider. Donald Trump has declared a national emergency over threats against information, communications technology, and services in the US. And this was signed off on Wednesday. Is expected to precede a ban on US firms doing business with Chinese telecoms giant Huawei. Huawei are not pleased about this, and are essentially, I've heard some people sort of saying it's a prelude for war. I don't think we're quite there just yet, but certainly the trade war that Donald Trump has been has been waging with China has definitely gone up a notch. I don't know if you guys are aware of all of the details. You've probably heard me having a bit of a rant about Huawei in the past because I'm none too fond of them. They have been caught out a number of times for basically having what appear to be spy chips installed in their servers and routers and phones and generally everything that they put out, and have been routing information back over to mainland China and to the government in China. And as a result, quite rightly in my opinion, the United States have told them to go forth and multiply, essentially. Yeah, there's an unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States, and I totally agree. Now, where this has gone, interestingly, is it's taken an interesting turn because Britain have, it seems, tried to side with Huawei on this, and we've got an article here from Sky. Let's see if I can improve the formatting on that one a little. Yeah, that'll do. Right, yeah, basically Huawei are saying being said to be going the extra mile to reassure the world on 5G spying. Now, the crux of this story from Sky News is they're definitely saying that the US has called it all wrong on Huawei, and Huawei are actually a really good company and wouldn't ever dream of spying on countries like the United States or the USA, even though we found in the past that has not been the case. America are basically saying that they're not going to share intelligence with the UK if the UK goes ahead with partnering up with Huawei on 5G, and generally a very, very long-standing special arrangement between the US and the UK seems to be in jeopardy, and this is a bit concerning. I don't know. I don't know what you guys have got to say about this. I'm personally, well, a little concerned because I've always been very fond of the special relationship between US and the UK. We share a lot of information. We share a lot of defense contracts. We work very well together. Something to do with speaking roughly the same language.
We're almost basically the same people.
Yeah, largely. We are good friends. We have our disagreements. But this is a big one, and I find myself siding with the current president of the United States and saying, yeah, Huawei are not to be trusted. They've said this shit before.
And Trek,
Well, they leave.
don't forget. Oh, go ahead.
No, Paul, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it's not something that only affects the America and UK and China. Think of all the countries that are under the wing of America, and they soon are gonna ask the same thing to countries, let's say, countries in South America or others one that have like really important deals with them, to say like, oh, you're with Huawei. I don't know if I can make like important deals with you.
Well, yeah, that's a fair point. Any country that is using Huawei's hardware is going to be a risk. You're not going to be able to share secure information with those countries if you're America, and not have that run a massive risk of it leaking over to China. I'm kind of all for the moves President Trump has taken with regards to Huawei. I mean, we've got this chap on Sky News who's see if we can play the video.
Points that your chairman has made. He's prepared to sign a non-spying agreement. Isn't that pretty terrible that you need to make a promise to a country when you're operating in it?
A non-spying agreement. That's what Huawei have promised to sign a piece of paper to say they're not going to spy on anyone with their hardware.
Which is horseshit that you can wipe your.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not worth the toilet paper it's written on, quite frankly.
Well, of course. But you would have to south the United States. I mean, we do influence almost like 170 nations.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
We kind of learn from the best how to do that.
Well, this is big news in general, because Huawei is one of China's biggest and most profitable firms, even though technically they sell a lot of their hardware at a loss, which a big think from me. Wonder why they're selling their hardware at a loss and how they are considered China's most profitable company. Could it be perhaps that the value that they create isn't in the hardware, but perhaps in information instead? And certainly that would seem to be the case. But there's been more that's cropped up with regards to this, actually, because I don't know if you remember last year, Canada arrested one of Huawei's top officials who was over in Canada, and lo and behold, the Chinese arrested a couple of Canadians over in China and haven't formally charged them. They've just held them and made them sort of disappear. And are basically kind of, as far as I can tell, political prisoners.
And Canada, of course, is doing nothing because Trudeau is he's something.
Here's what Trudeau has said. Let's see if we can find a better framing for this one. Okay, yeah, here we go. Trudeau says politics will be kept out of Huawei's decision, because he's going to base their decision on facts and evidence. Well,
while your citizenry is being held hostage, you want to play the game. It just unsettling doesn't set right with me.
You can't let the lives of two Canadians sway this type of a decision, though. You really can't.
This is true.
Because this is, I mean, this is not just, oh, they're gonna hear and find out where I had my breakfast. They're not. This is they're going to know everything. This is the latest fighter jet technology, the latest weapons technology, the latest information sharing. Where we may have our intelligence operatives working, that information is going to go through these networks, and it is going to jeopardize more than two people's lives.
Well, it's more of saying that fact they're holding them hostage is not versus the fact it would change your, if you say yes or no, it should be a hard no still, even with the hostages there.
I mean,
and you should be ramping up attempts to get them back.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting on the decision. The decision should be put on the back burner before you get the hostages, but should always be a hard no.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically, we do not negotiate with this. I mean, this is basically terrorism tactics.
Exactly.
And we, the official line is always, you do not negotiate with terrorists. That's not actually how it usually works out. We usually always negotiate with terrorists. But I mean, even the Dutch spy agency, it says here in this the headline, Dutch spy agency investigated alleged Huawei backdoor. But within the first two lines of it, and this is from Reuters, and I believe Reuters to be a fairly reputable news agency, if we can call any news agency reputable these days.
They have a better standing within the worlds that we travel in.
Yeah, largely. I mean, it used to be that all news agencies got their news basically from Reuters. But here it is, it's right there in black and white. Telecoms equipment maker Huawei has a hidden backdoor on the network of a major Dutch telecoms firm, making it possible to access customer data, newspaper De Volkskrant said on Thursday, citing unidentified intelligence sources. Well, obviously they're going to be unidentified because, when spies give up their identity, they fail at being pretty effective at intelligence anymore. It's
Really?
it's a bit
Just
of a
saying,
fail. I mean, it strikes me that the evidence is in. Trudeau's got a man up on this one, and
but he's not. He's going to play patty cake with whoever.
So we've got some tensions brewing over there with regards to this. Now, Huawei's busy lobbying with political insiders, and it could be a concern. Exports. Yeah, I mean, we had I was looking at the other day. We got David Cameron's.
If it threatens our interest, it's a problem for both nations, which it does.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just both
nations. And the
nations.
fact we stood up and said we're not going to do this is the correct thing to do, because China is a threat. Yeah,
I mean, trade war on one side, but at the end of the day, they are the biggest military outside of the US. In fact, I think in terms of actual men with rifles, they're actually a bigger army than the United States. I could be wrong on that front.
Well, they've got a lot of people.
They've got a lot of people. I mean, it's what is it? You've fallen for one of the classic blunders. Never enter a land war in Asia, and that's from The Princess Bride, a great film. Everyone should watch.
I haven't seen that movie.
You should see that, Paul. That's a great movie. I'll have to show that movie to you. It's a very old movie. It's got Andre the Giant in it.
It's a beautiful movie. A lot of quotes come on. A lot of memes come from it too.
Yeah, it's a very charming movie, but it's really, really good movie. And yeah, movie review of the week: Princess Bride. Love it.
And whenever you play D&D, you always want to be the great Roberts as a rogue. That's everyone's tried it. No one pulls it off, but we all try.
That's a good point, actually. I'm playing a D&D session soon. I might have to rework my character on that one. I hadn't thought about doing that, but
there you go. You have the voice for it, so you could probably pull it off.
Yeah, that's true, actually. What have we got there? That was all the stuff. So yeah, we're going back. Here we go. BBC, along with Sky News, have also gone and generally kind of sided with Huawei a bit again. or even though they are
But
being
it's the
relatively
BBC.
fair.
Wait. UK sided with Huawei. Well, it's not really a surprise. Like, UK is all about the surveillance of their people nowadays.
Aren't they? And don't we know it? It's a little bit frightening.
They have a lot of things in common regarding the privacy of people being like, fuck you. You're gonna get privacy.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding. In fact, we're gonna go off track here at the moment because I'm gonna have to bring this up. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was an incident earlier this week where the UK very kindly. Well, the UK police basically were trialling surveillance vans with facial recognition hardware on board, and they set them up in London. And these vans have got the cameras on top. And a chap wandered past the vans and saw them and went, "Oh, I don't like the look of that." Pulled his cap down, pulled his jumper up over his face, disguising himself, and tried to walk past the vans. And the police leapt on him and. Well, they basically, as far as I know, they declared it to be a crime, and fined him £90. Let's see if I can find some information about this, because it was somewhat of a disgrace, to be honest. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a crime to do this, and
Well, that's a problem. That's like a death nail in the freedom of Britain.
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I kind of tend to agree.
Like, what happened to the whole I own my own face?
Well, here we go.
And what happened to all the is this for like any reason? Like, for example, all these Islamic people that cover their face and stuff like that, they'll have to show their face, right? Too?
Sorry, say that again, Paul. Here we go.
I
I'm
believe.
just saying that is this gonna apply to everybody, right? Even the people that have to cover their face because of religion, right?
Ooh, well,
Well-
that's a good question, isn't it?
Well,
I
they basically
dread to think.
they're wearing their ninja outfit to get around it, basically.
Yeah, here we go. Outside Stratford in London, and Stratford Station, and we're just gonna.
I'd say breach of someone's intimacy.
Loads of different people all around. You can't trust like anyone really. So
You know what she just said there. There's loads of people around. You can't trust anyone really. I don't know. I hadn't transitioned this across. My bad. There's a young girl here. See if we can find it again. Yeah, here we go. Listen to what she says here.
trust like anyone really. So I think it's quite important, just so you can follow up. You know, with people who've done bad things, let's say.
So what she's saying there, I don't know if you caught up. I know there's a bit of a delay because we're not sharing screens. This girl is saying essentially that the police should be allowed to track things, track everyone's face, because you can't trust anyone, and people. It's the old argument of if you don't have anything to fear if you don't have anything to hide, and it's
That does not sit well with me.
It's a terrible argument. It really is. It's an old argument for chronic authoritarianism, and it's a case of you may be okay. The government you've got at the moment might be nice, and might be using these powers for benevolent reasons. But if you set these tools up, what you are doing is you are giving potential tyrants down the line all the tools that they would need to do horrifying things. We're setting up a police state, essentially. We are setting up a police state, and
You march down to it.
yeah, and here we go. One guy, he was basically, he refused to allow his face to be scanned by the facial recognition cameras, and the police put out a statement saying anyone who declines to be scanned will not necessarily be viewed as suspicious. However, This one chap was basically stopped by the police, fined £90, was forcibly had his hat removed, his face exposed, and his face taken as a photograph.
Now, here's a question: is this being applied to the non-native population?
Well, this absolutely. I don't know. As far as I can tell, the largest threat we in the UK have as far as terrorism is, I mean, historically, over the last 100 years or so, it is the Irish first, and then recently, much more recently, it has been Islam and Islamic fundamentalism. Now, the Irish wore balaclavas when they were carrying out terrorist attacks. Certainly,
which kind of defeats the system.
Which defeats the system. Now, we banned the use of balaclavas. We banned.
But you haven't banned the use of burqas.
Well, that's exactly it. We haven't banned the use of burqas and facial coverings, and I'm all for equality. Who says it can't? It only has to be Islamic terrorism in the form of male Islamists. We know there are female Islamists. We know women were radicalized and went over to join ISIS. And we know that they are very keen to wear the full niqab or hijab, or I'm not quite sure of the exact terms, but they wear a full face veil. They are completely covered from head to toe and just have a letterbox slit for the eyes. This recognition system is totally useless against the largest threat in terms of the civilian populace in terms of terrorism. It's totally useless.
This is more to monitor the native population more so than the non-native. Well,
this is totalitarianism and police state by stealth, and it's not even very stealthy these days. This is the stuff of 1984. I mean, I read Orwell's book a long time ago now. Back. I actually read it back in 1984, which is. I mean, I thought it would be ironic to read it then. I was what, about 10 years old. And yes.
May I add something?
Sure, by all means.
So it's funny that UK kind of supports this whole Huawei thing, but at the same time, I think it's happening in UK the same thing that happened a long time before in China with the whole facial recognition, that they have every citizen in control. And I guess the UK just likes the idea of having each citizen in control. And they're all going in the same way. The
recent governments we've had, certainly Theresa May. Theresa loves to spy on people. Theresa May was instrumental in putting together something called the Snoopers Charter, which was, I can't remember if it was defeated or not. I believe it was defeated at the time, but it was basically the rights to spy on anybody's information, to break through any encryption in the UK, and to get access to people's personal data if the government feels they have the need to. She wanted to implement ISPs to block porn sites and so on. She is remarkably authoritarian in her natural state. Unfortunately for her, fortunately for us, she's been blocked and stymied in every way so far. But it's only a matter of time, and the sooner we get rid of her, the better, as far as I'm concerned. She's done endless harm to the United Kingdom. She's done endless harm to the state of the Tory party. I mean, the Tory party for a long time has been one of the more respectable political parties in the UK, and under Theresa May's tenure, she shattered all respect I had. I used to be a bit of a Tory. These days, I wouldn't touch the Tory party with a 20-foot barge pole. It's a nightmare. But who else have we got left to vote for? I'm not voting for Corbyn. The guy's a raging communist. And yes, I personally think that's a bad thing.
Of course you would. He wants to get rid of the crown, doesn't he?
He's no fan of the Queen, yes, and he also wants to give Gibraltar back, he's sat down. Did you hear about this recently? We're talking about a guy who has sat down and called people like Hamas and Hezbollah his friends, and when Trump announced that he was coming over for a visit to the UK, he said he wouldn't sit down and meet with him. So this guy, he's
strong
unbelievable.
hatred.
Oh, he's detestable. He's detestable.
We have a few like that here. We have more than a few over here.
Okay, right. Yes, here we go. And let's see if we can find. There's another recent overstretch by the police in the UK. I don't know if you ran into this one, but the police have been, obviously we've been struggling. They've been struggling with knife crime in the UK. It's been a complete and utter mess, and knife crime has been going off, just getting completely out of hand in the UK, and people are getting stabbed almost every day, it seems. And then recently the Regent's Park police, here we go, put out a tweet that they'd seized a dangerous cache of weapons, and lo and behold, they brought out a picture of the weapons cache that they'd seized. Would you like to see what they'd seized?
I'm biting at the bit.
Okay, well, I've got the picture up on screen now. It should be visible for you at the moment. But as far as I can tell, they've raided a cutlery drawer. We've got some carving knives. We've got some chef knives, some paring knives. We have a butter knife. We have a sharpening steel for presumably sharpening up the carving knives. We have actually what looks like
no knives of real, no meat to the knives. They're just
there are one or two. There looks like there looks like there's a tanto blade, a Japanese short sword there. There is definitely a fencing foil there, but
you know how insignificant this is. I laugh at this.
You haven't seen the best bit. The best bit.
This is a joke.
The best bit is in this top corner here, up at the top left corner. If you see, there's a fencing blade, a fencing foil there, which they could be nasty if they break, because they've usually got a steel little button on the end there.
And that's what you call a weapons cache.
This is what we call a weapons cache. But not only that, we have a spoon. They confiscated a spoon.
I feel sorry for you guys.
We
you can't even bust good. We seized a weapons cache.
A weapons cache. They seized an assault spoon, ladies and gentlemen. They seized an assault spoon. I think they're kind of expecting some sort of.
Do you understand? We're laughing over here at you right now.
I'm laughing at us right now. I mean, it's basically this. Okay, they can hit me for the copyright claim. Bring it on. I'm playing this video. I don't care. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a film a while back, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I'm gonna cut your heart with a spoon. Then it begins.
Kevin Costner.
Why a spoon, cousin? Why not an axe?
Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more.
I think they think that Alan Rickman is going to be coming back from the grave and running around trying to cut people's hearts out with a spoon, because I
just want to say, spoon from the Tick.
A spoon.
It's a major buzz. It makes national headlines in Britain. We've got a weapons cache. You show it, everyone just, hangs their head.
Yeah.
Well, in America, we get a weapons cache, and it's maybe 10,000 guns or something.
I mean, I hate to say this, if they went through most tool sheds in rural England, I mean, I have a chainsaw in my shed. Yeah,
But wait, what color was the perpetrator?
Was he white? Who was wielding the spoon in deadly fashion?
Yeah, who owned this magnificent?
I do not know. Weapons? I do not know who the spoon was seized from, and I don't know whether they were tapping it furiously on the head of someone, giving them a minor discomfort and irritation.
It was probably a native. It's not going to be a non-native.
I'm going to take a rough guess and say it was someone with a cup of tea.
We got rid of your tea long ago, and we're happily drinking coffee.
Look, yeah, well, I'm with you on the coffee, but I remember the old. Incidentally, that's not how you make tea. You need boiling water, not river water.
It was a hard breakup, but it had to be done.
You know what? At this point, I don't blame America. If this is what they had, if they'd known this is what they had in store, frankly, you were right. You were right. Get shot. This is an utter disgrace. The police ought to be absolutely, completely ashamed of themselves over this nonsense. This is This is bonkers. I don't know what to say. The fact that there's so much crime going off in the streets of London right now, and they have the audacity to claim that they've taken a weapons stash and have a spoon on there.
I didn't think you could top the potato peeler, but you did.
The potato peeler. That is, look. In all fairness, peeling someone with a potato peel, that's going to hurt. That's nasty.
That's a deadly weapon right there. My God.
I mean, I don't know if I mean, it's going to be difficult to actually peel someone with a potato peeler whilst they're resisting.
You do understand that in Texas we can carry swords.
Open carry swords. I know. I like the sound of that. In theory, we should be able to in England. If you're knighted, you should be able to carry a sword.
Have you seen the document with all the things that are actually prohibited as like offensive weapons? Like the official one. Carrying knives in public, okay. Miscellaneous knives, blades, length, samurai swords, and lock knives, and God, the list keep going.
Oh, thanks for the link. Let's have a quick look at that, see if we can bring that up as a...
Yeah, it's a link. You can put it in the thing.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Let's transition this over. Okay, here we go. Knives and offensive weapons information. We have put together a series of frequently asked questions on knives and offensive weapons.
Oh my God.
What?
A butter knife with no cutting edge and no point is a bladed article. What?
No. And so we've got bell buckle knives. Okay, that's pretty. Yeah, that's a concealed knife. Push knife, flick knives. Yeah, okay. Foot claws. I don't know what that is. Shuriken. And shaken. Death Star.
Shuriken.
Death Star. That's from Star Wars.
Dweebs throwing shurikens at the cops. I'm sure that's a problem.
Butterfly knives. Blowpipe. A blowpipe is an offensive weapon. You know what you can also call a blowpipe? A straw. A straw. I can make a blowpipe out of a drinking straw I get from McDonald's. Okay, I think.
But if you spit a spitball at one of the cops, will it be counted as assault or not?
Yeah, potentially. In that case, it could be considered a blow dart or blowgun, and yeah. Yeah, hard
So,
so
Monty Python's "I'm being repressed" is now got its real meaning in your country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
Kusari,
You're living out a Monty Python sketch.
Here's the thing, though.
Wait.
Okay, but crossbows, on the other hand, actually have a bit of protection, and if it's under 1.4 kilograms of draw strength, people over the age of 18 are allowed them. So I'm not allowed a straw through which I can blow a frozen pea. That would be considered an illegal weapon. But a crossbow, that might be okay. So, hold on a second. It's an offence to sell or let on hire to a person under the age of 18 any knife blade, razor blade. Okay, so it's actually Gillette. So according to British law, in fact, by looking at this, that means that if you are 16 years of age and happen to have a bit of stubble on your face, you are not allowed to go and buy a razor blade from a shop. You just have to...
Oh, God. Couldn't it mean like the old kind of razor blades, you know, the...
It doesn't specify. It doesn't specify. Technically, by that standard, that could mean a Gillette safety razor.
Well, you're right.
Well, pump the brakes here. Are you kidding me? About pump the brakes about 80%.
Okay.
A Gillette razor.
By this description, razor blades permanently enclosed in a cartridge or housing, whereas less than 2 millimeters of any blade is exposed beyond the plane. Yes, a Gillette safety razor technically exceeds that.
Okay, but Drake, look at the link I just sent you in content collation.
Okay, let's have a look. What's the...
Dangers. The dangers of a razor blade.
Oh no!
If that happens, you're going to be some of the hairiest guys around.
What the hell? Woman booked 79 times, arrested again in razor blade attack at shelter. Hold on, wait, what?
Razor blade attack.
Okay, this isn't...
Is this a straight razor, or are we talking about Gillette series?
I think this might actually be... I think this might be a straight blade. This is in Seattle in America, so they take these things a little more seriously. I don't think it's quite as bad as that, but yeah, no, this isn't the. I mean, I don't know where to stand with England at the moment. I love my country, I really do. But
there's a button there. I know there's somewhere in there.
But this is going bloody crazy. I hate to say it. A pocket knife, if the cutting edge does not exceed 3 inches, that's okay. Okay, right. So you can actually have a folding knife in your pocket with less than 3 inches blade on it. You can't have a straw from McDonald's. And you can't have a Gillette safety razor, but you can have a folding knife. That's good, because I have a folding knife here that I have occasionally. Well, it used to be attached to my keyring, and that's got like a 1.5 inch blade on it.
So what you're telling me is that I cannot bring my katana to UK? Is that what you're telling me?
You certainly can't walk around in public with it. No.
How am I gonna cosplay then?
Well, I don't know.
No, you do know. It's called cosplay license. Didn't you pick up on it?
No, yeah, that's for airsofting. You can. That's
big distinction there.
Here's the thing. Is I was about to say you could maybe get a wooden katana or something like that and paint it up, but actually that would be classified as a truncheon or a cudgel. And and that is also prohibited. Basically, a stick.
So, shillelagh's not allowed?
Nope.
That saddens my heart.
What a walking cane that looks like a katana.
A walking stick. I wouldn't wave it at anyone in any type of an angry manner. I think you might. If you had a bit of a limp, I don't think someone's going to try and take it
You'll
off
have
you.
to have a medical reason for having that walking stick and proof of ownership. Here's your license.
Yeah,
I'm fat. I need it.
I mean, I know I've gone on this before with you guys. I'm a big fan of less is more with regards to this type of stuff. The more they tighten their grip, they bring all this stuff out because somebody stabs somebody else and they go, oh my god, knives are terrible, ban knives. We had this with guns as well. Illegal gun ownership meant that people got shot, therefore they banned guns. The legal owners of guns weren't actually doing anything wrong, more or less. Most of the time, it was always illegal guns. It's not going to affect the criminals. They're going to, at this rate, this basically means that I could go to, say, what's the name of just any sort of shop that sells kitchen utensils, and I could walk out of there with a 12-inch carving knife in its packet in a bag. The police could be standing outside, stop me, go, oh my god, you've got an offensive weapon, you're nicked, sonny, under these laws. But the way I'm reading it, so I mean, are they going to cut our food up for us and serve it to us? Are we going to have licensed food cutters?
It's going to be all plastic forks and knives, or you have to eat with your hands.
I don't know what to do.
Civility goes out the window, and you Ethiopians will sit there and pick it up off the ground.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and terrifying and a complete bloody shambles.
Yeah. What are we talking about, Huawei?
we were talking about Huawei. It's gone a little off topic, but that's okay. I always thought it was going to go off topic because there's only so much you can talk about the Chinese being dirty, scummy, lying, spying bastards.
Well, they always are. But this was bigger importance to talk about because it showed. What did it show? It showed your laughingstock. I'm sorry.
Yeah, largely.
I couldn't go anywhere else with that.
Largely. Well, yeah,
that's your tax-paying money going to work. It's doing great. Sees more culturally.
I'm quite frightened, to be perfectly honest, about where this is going. On this front, it's very, very, very concerning. That
Well, it seems that Scotland doesn't have that problem. It says in Scotland, it is not an offense
Scotland, they just stab each other.
To sell or let on hire a knife or blade that is designed for domestic use if the person is age over 16.
So,
but isn't Glasgow the knife murder capital of all of the United Kingdom?
No, that's it. That's London now. That's London now.
Still?
Yeah. No, London's worse than Glasgow. Glasgow's fighty. Glasgow, you're going to get hit by the bottle in a pub. You're going to get hit with... But largely that's only for having a really English accent. Or it's kind of how they say hello. I
should be okay over there if I went.
I don't think anyone is particularly safe in Glasgow, to be perfectly honest. But they're less stabby, I think, than London. It certainly seems to be that way. I don't know if I'm getting that completely wrong, but yeah, it's slightly. I don't know. It's depressing, guys. I have to say, it's depressing. Yeah. But I don't know what else to say about this. It's the British police are just doing their job in the same way that certain guards standing on certain death camps were just doing their job during certain troubles that were happening back in the 1940s. I really do think it's time that the police started looking in on themselves and going, are we actually serving the public? or are we actually becoming a tool for serious oppression? Oh, what's this?
And there you can see the progress of the bill that just got approved. Like
This is new. This is 2019. The act.
no, yes, this literally the royal assent was yesterday.
Oh,
So yesterday it got
no.
fully approved, and yep, it's done.
Okay, so let's have a quick look at this. This act. This is amendments to this. So, delivery of bladed products to persons under 18. This applies to seller, yada yada yada. Knife, person wears in. This is breaking news, basically. So a person guilty of an offence. Oh God, I hate legal speak.
What?
I hate legal speak. Reading this is like reading the reports from a trial. It's page 1997. Leave out and insert no. So this is just amendments to the existing bill, and there's nothing immediately springing out that's literally.
Well, no, but they did a lot of changes that you spoke about in the other document, but these are like the dates.
Yeah.
When this happened, so it just happening now, like.
So this is it. Yeah.
Yep. There's no way back. There's no way to fight it. It is what it is.
Oh no, there's always way. Here's the thing. Any law that is in place can be repealed. Any government that comes through in the future can take a look at one of these laws and go, no, that's got to go, and repeal it. It's difficult if they don't have a massive majority in Parliament, and they've also got to have control of the House of Lords. But once it's gone through Parliament and the House of Lords, the Queen rubber stamps it, essentially. So these things can be repealed. This is like how we get out of Europe. Could have been done very easily just by repealing the act. Oh, when was it? Back in, I think it was 1991 when we signed up for it. 92.
Yeah, and if you can see, this bill started back in the 20th of June of last year. So it was almost a year of this bill getting the process. Damn.
Damn, indeed. Well, all I can say is what we need is to get decent politicians in place. I don't know of any decent politicians in place at the present moment. I mean, I know certain Mr. Vakad is running for as an MEP.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got hold of this meme a friend of mine did the other day. I'm just gonna put it up on screen as we're going to talk about Sargon for a moment, because Sargon Vakad has been going around and generally freaking out and scaring the local constituents of the southeast by holding up his little prove me wrong, basically, or you know, types of sessions. He's been talking out in public with Milo Yiannopoulos and just generally going around sort of places like Truro and Plymouth, etc., and talking to the general public and asking anyone that's got any particular differences of opinion with him, and generally making himself well, he's running for Parliament. He's campaigning and getting himself out in public. And
he should. He's got to be out there for the people to recognize who he is and hear his ideas, not what the media is saying about him.
Yeah. I think he's actually been doing well. I've watched a couple of them. I was watching one just yesterday where he was.
I watched the Anchor one.
The Anchor one. Which one was that one?
I'll have to look it up again.
Because
I remember there's a boat anchor in it, that's all.
Right, okay. Was that the one with Milo? Yiannopoulos in it.
No, it wasn't.
Because I was watching that one, and I have to say, for all of Milo's faults, he was wearing a cracking pair of shades.
Yeah, he always does.
The guy's
He's
got
very
some,
stylish in that fashion.
the guy's got some style. I liked his shades. Not Milo's biggest fan for a number of reasons. Sometimes he says some funny things, but yeah, no, he was wearing some damn fine shades in that one. But you know what? I think he's doing good. He's been interviewing people, and they've been basically regurgitating talking points that have been put out by the BBC, and as a result, he's largely been engaging in a way that you don't often see from politicians. You do not usually see people actually standing out there talking to the general public. You know,
no, he's went back to boots on the ground tactics.
Yeah,
that's got people in office from before the invention of radio and everything else. But now he's combining it with all these assets, and it just gives you a better appearance.
Yeah, and he was on. There's an interviewer, I think, what's her name, Victoria Derbyshire, who is a BBC presenter and interviewer. I'm not a massive fan. In fact, I'll be perfectly honest now, I haven't watched a BBC television programme in a long time. I watched the occasional clip from YouTube, but
you don't want to pay the tax of the BBC, do you?
You know what? I don't. I thoroughly disagree with the television license. I think it's because it's enforced. It's a disgrace.
It should be mandatory. It shouldn't be enforced. It should be your right to say no.
Yeah, it is our right to say no. And the British public can say, no, I'm not paying the BBC, the television license. Now, the proviso of that is that they do not watch any television content, not just BBC. They cannot watch TV.
See, that's taking your right to choose out in the free market to decide how it should work.
As far as I'm concerned, who needs a TV anyway? If you've got the internet, you have
there shouldn't.
TV is a dead media. It really is an absolutely dead media. Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, YouTube, systems like that have killed television dead for me. I haven't watched TV.
And when they want to inform themselves, they go to streams and things like that with people they actually like.
Yeah, and I think the 50-year-olds plus, maybe some people in their 40s, but generally anyone in their 30s and 20s and 30s, they don't watch TV. TV is dead. Anyway, getting back on topic, Victoria Derbyshire was desperately trying to interview and slander. She was definitely trying to paint Sargon in a very negative light in this interview I was watching earlier, and Sargon said, "Yeah." Sargon said something very interesting to her because she was sort of going on about freedom of speech basically, and how let me see if I can find the content itself. But essentially, Sargon turns around to her and says, "There is a statue of George Orwell outside the front of this building, and on it says, if liberty means anything, it means the right to say what Let me see. Let me bring it up exactly because I'm going to misquote it otherwise. Quote by George Orwell. If liberty means anything, it means the right to tell people what they don't or what they do not want to hear. And that is absolutely core and key to freedom of speech. I'm gonna throw that in chat there. And Sargon says this to Victoria Derbyshire and says, "Do you stand by that?" And she went, and changed the subject. And he went, "Well, I'll take that as a no then." So the BBC and presenters on the BBC have a statue outside their building that says if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear, and they cannot even stand by that very simple premise that the BBC is literally uses as one of its foundational blocks. It's a corrupt organisation, and it has to go, and which is why I've got the meme of Sargon with his hand on the side of Jess Phillips' face there. So obviously that's taken from Starship Troopers, because Sargon's a big fan of the old service guarantees citizenship meme and etc. And
which we all are. Even, even I'm like, yeah.
You know,
what was this movie that we watched, Anchorman, when he says something really wise? People, you know, when he says that people want to see what they want to hear.
Yeah, the news one. Yeah, what was it exactly? That was Anchorman 2, and I you know what, I almost like Anchorman 2 better than Anchorman 1, just because it really highlights what CNN and what American news networks did to news. They went from showing people what was happening to giving them what they want to see. And suddenly it went from news into this is a car chase and this is punditry and nonsense and it basically made sport out of news. And that was kind of the death of serious news at that point. And Anchorman does it very, very well. I liked that film. I hadn't seen that before, and I enjoyed watching it the other day. But so no, Sargon's. I support Sargon. I wouldn't personally have said some of the things he said, but I support his right to say it without any doubt. I mean, he's out there doing it. He's out there doing what politicians should be. He's out there talking to the people and telling them what he stands for. And if they agree with him, they should vote for him. And if they don't agree with
politician?
None. All the other politicians they just tell you what they think you want to hear, and they lie to your face, and then they go and do something totally shitty behind your back.
The deal is he's being their boots on the ground. He is meeting actual people.
Yes.
What other politician he's running against is actually doing that?
Well, this is it. I mean, UKIP are doing badly in the polls. And now, I have tacitly supported UKIP in the past. And given the current state of party politics, there's no one I truly agree with other than I've met some of these guys from UKIP. Yes, some of them are a bit rough and ready. Amusingly, when they're being painted as a far-right organisation, everyone that I've ever met from UKIP are all ex-Labour supporters who have just gone, Labour does not support and doesn't represent the general common man of England anymore, and as a result they've found themselves in a UKIP meeting looking rather surprised at the general, way things have turned out for politics. And it's an interesting party because they are on such a shoestring budget. They have no money whatsoever. They are literally collecting loose change in a plastic tub and calling that their budget for the local area. Meanwhile, the Tories have got donors coming out of their ears. Labour have got union subs, which just is vast amounts of money. And all they can ever talk about is communism, socialism, and it's such awful drivel, to be perfectly honest. I mean, what
happened to the party of Thatcher?
What, the Tories? Well, yeah. Theresa May took it over. This is the thing: it went from Margaret Thatcher, God rest her soul. For all of the things she did right and did wrong for the country, she is definitely, without a doubt, in my living memory, the strongest and best leader this country has had.
And it's such a great...
She was the first Prime Minister that was female, and she would have none of the feminism nonsense and giving a helping hand up to women. It was, no, you pull your bootstraps up and you do it. and you beat them at your own game. Fair play to the woman. She was absolutely nailed. She didn't take shit from anyone. Yes, she made some mistakes.
It's such a great relationship with the United States.
Absolutely. Fantastic relationship with the United States. Watching Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan together, it was like some sort of political romance. It really was quite beautiful to watch. And then after that, we had John Major, who was awful. And then suddenly we were in the hands of a Labour government that went on for years under Tony Blair. And then under Gordon Brown, it was awful. And during that period of time, which was, I think it was about 12, maybe longer, I can't remember exactly, maybe it's 15 years of Labour governments, they doubled the amount of laws on the books. The police don't know how many laws and what laws they're supposed to be, using. It's a total nonsense. They turned the country into an authoritarian nightmare. They basically opened the door to unlimited and unregulated immigration, which has massively overpopulated the cities and towns of the UK. We've seen knife crime rocket of late. We've had jihadi terrorism. We had, what was it, back in 2001 when the two planes hit the two towers in the United States on September the 11th. Luton Town, large proportions of Luton Town had posters up of the terrorists hailing them as heroes. Yeah, that's how far we had fallen in the space of 10, 15 years. We had gone from being best friends with America to suddenly being infiltrated with jihadis that were down with the Western world, down with America. It was abhorrent to see them. It makes me wince just to think about it now. We've seen so much go so wrong in the last 20 years, mostly thanks to the Labour government and then the recent successive, completely ineffectual and appalling Tory governments. I mean, Cameron wasn't terrible. Theresa May has been an absolute clusterfuck. She is the worst. I mean, talk about setting women's lib back. It is. She has done so much harm to the idea of having a female prime minister back in power again. It's untrue. We had a 100% hit rate for having really, really strong women leaders in the United Kingdom. It was actually pretty impressive. Now we've got a fucking nightmare. That woman should. Personally, I think there's grounds for treason for what she's doing over Brexit.
She's subverting the will of the people.
She is subverting the will of the people. As Paul Joseph Watson said on Twitter a little while ago, it's time to activate the Queen, because the only person that can actually supersede Theresa May is the Queen. And if the royal family would actually kick off and go, no, terribly sorry, but I'm dissolving Parliament and Brexit's happening, there's nothing that anyone can do about it. That is their right. The royal family probably would never do such a thing, because the last time the royal family stood against Parliament, we ended up decapitating a royal and having a civil war.
Good old Charles.
Yeah. And nobody really wants to see that sort of thing happen again.
But I don't think it would cause a civil war. It would cause almost a resurgence of national pride.
I would hope so. But you can't be sure. London is in such a state at the moment. It's untrue. What can I say?
The statistics on London. Is it a loss? Is it a conquered city?
Oh, there's a. I'm not willing to say that at this point in time. I don't think so. I don't think it is lost. There are still some very nice parts of London, but there are some very, very nasty parts of London now that have been. I mean, and there's an argument to say that the Cockney which is someone who was born under the Archers of Bow Bells, basically. You know, the classic Cockney rhyming slang Cockney, is now an endangered minority. In fact, I don't think they exist anymore because they've all left those areas. Those areas are now majority minority, I believe is the phrase, which, well, you can't have a majority minority. That minority is now a majority by the very turn of the phrase. But yes, we are finding now that a large part of London, I think what you're asking is London no longer ethnically English? And I don't think it is anymore. I think if the true numbers came in, it would turn out that the ethnicity of London would not be majority white anymore. I think it's very close. I don't know the exact figures, but what can I say? We are now looking at a right mess, and the country has got a lot to do to turn this around. If it's going to be turned around, I don't actually know how to do it myself. I've got some ideas, but you know, that's for another meeting down at the docks.
I guess we can say that.
Vive la revolution! But no, just kidding. Of course, we're not advocating for any sort of revolution. That would be
if you. We're not going to advocate anything, but you need help.
The revolution of mine.
We still honor the wonderful friendship Ronald Reagan had with Thatcher.
Oh, yeah. And let's hope it stays that way. But as I said, we're coming back full circle. I think we're gonna start wrapping this up at this point. I don't know if there's anything else, but yeah, we are now threatening the special relationship that we've held with America for so long because Huawei, because data security, and you know, where is MI5? Where is MI6? Why are they not telling the government no? Because it cannot be unknown to them that these organizations have got spy equipment going and so on.
You just pull it back around, and I like that. We went back to original topic.
Yeah.
And you're right, and we do not need to break that special relationship we do have between our two nations.
No, we've got to fortify it.
We work better together than alone.
Certainly do. In fact, I believe that every single conflict that America has had England on site with, we have succeeded very, very effectively. Every time in the last 100 years where England has gone it alone or where America has gone it alone, it's ended up in a bit of a mess. I'm thinking Vietnam.
You handled with us.
We did actually. We handled that by ourselves. Actually, not totally by ourselves. I believe we had a little bit of help in terms of intelligence from other countries in South America.
I mean, that's
basically,
where it goes.
Yeah. But no, America wasn't actually very pro us holding the Falklands. They just kind of sat back and watched it. The US did. I know another country in South America was rather eager to stick it to the Argentinians just because, well, why not? It's a bit of a giggle.
As all South America does at any point in time. We could go on the subject of Venezuela.
Oh, do you want to do a bit of Venezuela? I don't know. I mean,
or you want to save that for another chat? I think that'd be another good topic for a discussion like this.
Maybe we should actually go on to Venezuela because we do have someone from that sort of local vicinity. Paul, do you have anything to say about Venezuela?
What?
Venezuela. You know you know, communist Mexico.
They've tried a couple of times to derogate the other guy, Nicolas Maduro, right?
Yeah.
And they have this guy that is actually a lot better than the past guy, but they haven't done it yet.
No.
I have a lot of friends from Venezuela actually that they want to come back to their country. Like they have no intentions of staying outside. But well, with this situation of endangerment, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
for everybody.
No, I know. I've heard people saying that they've got Venezuelan refugees, swimming over or paddling over to where was it, Trinidad and Tobago and places like that. They're literally fleeing the country in any way they can.
So just like Cuba.
Yeah.
So the involvement of, I guess, the West, Russia's going to be involved somehow. Well, the core of the issue, there's oil there.
Well, yeah, this is it. I was talking to Rogue about this on a stream a little while ago about Venezuela, and when the most recent troubles kicked off a couple of weeks ago, we'd spotted there was a number of Colombian uniforms and equipment showing up on streets. It looked like Colombia had got troops on the border waiting to go, but the coup attempt, the popular uprising, it faltered. And this always happens when you have a coup attempt. If you do not seal that deal within the first 24 hours, within the first 12 hours, to be honest, if you do not grab the current leader who's got the place, and if you don't get rid of him and put your new guy in place within the first 24 hours, then it either fails and stumbles and falls, or it turns into a civil war. And it looks like it's stumbled and fallen, sadly. Poor old Venezuela is still in a mess. We shall see.
Do you think we should have Western intervention?
Western intervention is always troublesome. America being world police is something that's gotten America into an awful lot of trouble of late.
I don't want to see us down there, but at the same time, the humanitarian cost that communist does kill loads of people through starvation.
Look, if America goes into Venezuela, every single left-wing pundit out there is going to go, they're there because of the oil. And I really don't think they're going to be far wrong. Well,
my thing is just come out and say it. We're there for the oil. Yes, we won't.
But is that why they should be there? I don't know.
I just got through saying humanitarian reasons. Then I said oil. So, in the grand scheme of things, we can't leave it alone. We can't let other countries come in and influence them either.
No. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I think Venezuela has the right for its people to dictate how their government and their country is run. I don't think that's the case at the moment. I think Maduro is
Maduro.
Yeah, he's not good. He's basically holding on to the country. Even though their recent elections basically put... what's the guy's name? The new guy. The other guy. Guaido. Guaido is the other guy. And they had, as far as I know, they had voted for him to take over. And Maduro basically went no. So there's legal claim for them to...
I mean, we had to go into Panama, shake some heads to get that straightened out.
If it can be straightened out, if it could be done quickly and effectively, maybe it should be done.
I mean, the 82nd Airborne went down into Panama and did his job and got out.
When was that? That was a while back now, though.
Yeah, it was before the Gulf War.
Yeah, you see, the problem is...
First Gulf War.
Yeah. The problem is that the China and Russia are involved in this as well, and if we're not careful,
that's what I'm saying.
We don't need another Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah, we don't need another Cuban Missile Crisis.
War, and the fact we also don't want to see China's influence this close to home.
No.
So there's all these wonderful things going on. Oil's one thing, but the influence is another.
Yeah. See, the whole thing is China influence. If it got down to a shooting war with China, actually, I think you'd win. I think America would win against China fairly effectively, because China is a very big country, but it's locked in into its own region by the Himalayas, and vast amounts of nothing through Russia. And its only other route out is via sea, and it doesn't have a huge amount of oil. And I think a simple blockade starving it of oil would defeat China very, very rapidly. You'd turn their economy into a flat spin. Whether that's the route we're going to end up in the next 50 years or something, I hope not. I hope not.
If this Huawei kicks off right, we may be there sooner than we think.
Yeah.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Let's hope, because there's an awful lot of tech that needs to be kept quiet from opponents. There's no point in developing, fighter jets and weapons if you're just going to give our most likely opponent all of that information. And
our greatest adversary right now at the time isn't Russia.
No.
It is China.
No, Russia's economy is tiny. Putin must be laughing himself to sleep every night with the amount of power that the American press gives
as much
it.
as American, like he's this boogeyman.
He doesn't have the economy of Germany. So yeah, no, I really don't think Russia is. Yes, they've got weapons. Yes, they should be taken seriously, but China needs to be taken much more seriously.
The fact they want to undermine our technology, they don't care about copyright laws. They don't care about anything.
Yeah.
As all of us as Western civilizations share and build things on.
I don't know.
China's just going to take it all and reformat it and make it their own.
Well, they do that all the time. They do that all the time.
I mean, they've always been doing that. You let this Huawei thing go through, only thing it does is separate the U.S. from Britain. The Britain's going to be isolated if they do that and hacked.
Yes, and we're in the present moment trying to get away from Europe. We will be left without any big powerful friends, and that's a stupid place to be. And the last thing we want to do is get in bed with China. They have no. In fact, the only thing China have with regards England is a bug to bear with regards the way England may have behaved a long time ago with regards
Hong Kong?
Well, Hong Kong, gunboat diplomacy, and the opium trade. China have got a lot of reasons to be fairly salty towards the English. I don't think we should be forgetting that. China play a very long game, and they do not.
They don't easily forget slights.
No, they don't easily forget that stuff, and that's a long time ago. And nobody alive had any part of that. But I don't think China have forgotten it. And I think we need to be aware that they are an opponent rather than...
China never forgets.
No. No. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up at this point. We've been rambling on for about an hour and 20 minutes. It's been really fun, guys. Thanks for popping along to this, and I think we've got
anytime.
All the 5 people watching, but we've got 5 likes. That means everyone that's watching it has actually enjoyed it. Well, that's great. That's great.
Well, somebody did a double account thing.
If we're going to get this
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Treg, let's end this on a good note, and thanks for having me on.
It's been my pleasure.
Good thanks. A little pitter patter.
Indeed. All right. Take care, everyone. It's been loads of fun.